The 1970s were a tough time for the average American family. There was a gas shortage, widespread unemployment, and the highest inflation since the 1940s. The whole country was feeling the pain, including America's favorite pastime.
In 1974, it's a hard time for baseball. One of the top teams, the Milwaukee Brewers, is getting less than 12,000 fans in the stands.
The Oakland A's, they're the reigning World Series champions. They got Reggie Jackson on their team, and they can't sell 10,000 tickets. If the very best teams can't fill their stadiums, then a team that's not even doing very well at all, like the Cleveland Indians, they're gonna have a lot of leftover hot dogs at the end of a game.
Hoping to draw a crowd, Cleveland's front office comes up with an innovative marketing ploy to boost revenue.
10-cent beer night.
Offer people cheap beer, get people in the stands, and they feel like it's gonna be a home run. To their surprise, 25,000 fans show up for this promotion.
And they start drinking 65,000 cups of Stroh's beer.
The trouble is evident as early as the second inning, when a woman jumps onto the field, runs out, lifts her shirt, exposing her breasts to the crowd, and then tries to kiss the home plate umpire. Soon after that, a young man starts peeling off his clothes and streaks completely across the outfield.
Streakers on the field? That's bad enough. But the home team is behind. And in the stands, the crowd is going wild.
The beer vendors, they're so overwhelmed. They abandon their posts altogether. The kegs are now unattended, so people are able to just pour as much beer as they want.
Can you imagine? Today, you have security guards, you have people IDing for drinks. Back then, people were ransacking the place.
At the end of the ninth inning, with the beer flowing freely and the score tied up, the Indians are on the verge of a comeback win. And the event turns into absolute pandemonium.
The crowd gets rowdier and rowdier. They start throwing beer bottles, they start throwing trash onto the field, batteries.
They start throwing firecrackers into the opposing team's bullpen, the Texas Rangers, and they start yelling back up into the stands. The fans start yelling back down to them. People start storming the field by the hundreds.
People are starting fights with the players. Everybody's out of control.
50 stadium officers and 2 off-duty Cleveland policemen are completely overwhelmed by the mob of drunk fans and have to call for assistance.
It was just so unsafe. Eventually, the players were like, well, we got to defend ourselves.
Billy Martin, the manager of the Texas Rangers, he tells his players to grab bats and go start walloping these drunk fans.
When I saw a 10-cent beer night on the news, it looked more like what I imagined the Roman Coliseum was like than a placid day at the park with the family.
With only 1 out to go and the score still tied, umpire Nestor Shylock finally has enough of the chaos and calls the game a forfeit.
I just think it was just a bunch of kids that just couldn't handle their liquor, and those aren't the real good baseball fans in Cleveland.
10-cent beer night is a perfect example of how we're our own worst enemy. We took our shirts off, we ran on the field, we started a riot. We can't be trusted with 10-cent beers.
Today, baseball teams constantly run promotions to get the fans into the stands, but they tend to be more family-friendly than 10-cent beer night. There was Cap Day, Bobblehead Day, even Bring Your Dog to the Game Day. But back in the 70s, there was one promotional stunt that tried to outdo all the rest.
In the mid-70s, you had discotheques popping up all over America. You had movies like Saturday Night Fever.
Disco is just dominating the airwaves.
Still, not everyone loves disco, and those who don't, the hard rock faithful, are passionate haters.
So there's this DJ in Chicago, Steve Dahl, a diehard rock and roller who gets fired from his radio station when they switch over to a disco format. And he is out for revenge.
He had the idea to take this hatred and channel it into an event called Disco Demolition Night.
You're going to start a fire and burn disco records, sort of an effigy of the whole disco movement at large.
Dahl brings the idea to White Sox owner Bill Veeck. He's notorious for staging stunts, like giving away live animals and having weddings at home plate. So naturally, Veeck agrees to the stunt. And they arrange for it to take place between a doubleheader on July 12th, 1979.
It was also teen night, and if they brought a disco record with them, it was only 98 cents. So it was encouraging this rowdier, sort of younger clientele to come with their disco records ready to burn.
It's just a combination of energy and chaos that's bound to create, well, something unforgettable.
They expected 20,000 people to show up, 50,000 people show up, which is even more than seats they have in the stadium.
Pretty soon, the crowds are overwhelming the gate.
Fans are supposed to drop their disco albums in collection bins as they enter, to be burned later. But as they crash through the gates, many don't.
A lot of people ended up getting to their seats with their records, and they're sitting there through 9 innings of baseball, drinking more and more beer, and they start throwing their records out onto the field.
Everybody's here to have a good time, but there's no reason to disrupt the ballgame.
They're slicing through the air, they're hitting people.
Oh boy, look at that, we just missed gate. Boy, that's very dangerous.
It only continues. There are firecrackers and empty beer bottles landing next to the players right on the field.
Don't spoil the night for everybody else, or we'll have to call off the game and close the park.
The game is paused several times due to the hail of foreign objects.
People are out of their minds at this point. And what do you do when people are out of their minds? You start a big bonfire in the middle of it. That'll calm them down, right?
At 8:45 p.m., Dahl has the crate of records wheeled out to center field. He riles up the crowd and then sets off dynamite inside the crate.
Records are flying everywhere.
People are climbing onto the field, they're throwing trash, total chaos. So the umpire decides he is not going to go on with the second game.
Disco demolition turns into a disco inferno.
Can you imagine 7,000 fans having free rein on the field for 40 minutes? Anything that wasn't nailed down, they were going to be trying to take, because baseball fans, they love a good souvenir. It just sounds like really once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Flying records were the beginning of the end for other baseball promotions, like Bat Day, when 50,000 fans would be handed a bat on their way in.